think it's either a fold or check raise.
When you're deep and you're out of position.
As you can see, a snap call.
This week at CardRunners. On Monday, Rush expert Gareth Chantler kicks things off. His premiere video was a huge hit, and now Gareth is back for more. This time he's playing 2 tables of 100 NL, 6 max Rush.
Size any bigger in terms of our C-bet on such an ultra-dry board. Remember that I'd size this way with all overpairs. He's 31-24, so honestly expect him to be a bit of a weaker player. There aren't too many strong 31-24s playing 100 NL 6 max
On
rush.
Tuesday, join Will Ma in this live play MTT video as he 4-tables some of the Sunday majors.
There are some draws, but I think I'd much rather make it look like I'm trying to take a stab than tell him I have a hand and protect my hand, especially when my hand is quite good. Like, I mean, yeah, it sucks to give Queen Jack a free card, but even Queen Jack only has 4 outs against me. If we turn an ace, then I'm just going to get all their money. So, yeah, I mean, a random club, if he has 2 clubs, will allow him to beat me. But I still think your hand is good enough here to just bet small.
Wednesday features Marshall 28 as he grinds out some 2-4-6 max on Carbon Poker. Peter discusses hand reading, 3-betting, and taking optimal lines.
Not anyone, because, like, you have 3 undercard, you have an underpair to the board, which is usually not a very good hand, and if you are bluffing, you're bluffing with essentially almost no equity. So, I mean, it's not like the greatest spot to get involved in, but I thought that given my opponent's flop timing, that I could probably get him off of anything that he had by overbetting.
Member favorite Nikachu starts off Thursday with his first ever Quickie. Nikachu shares his thoughts on the infamous red line, playing a leg style, and bum hunting. And for those of you in need of a bunny fix, he has that covered too.
Pressure with the rest of the poker community. No one is specifically looking at your results or your stats, but you care anyway and feel you can't be a winner if you play like a pussy. Everyone wants to run the streets like the big guys. These are your role models. Well, where's the role model for being a pussy? Well, I'm not afraid of looking like a pussy. Fuck, I draw rabbits and other forest animals with crayons, for fuck's sakes. So let's cut to the biggest load of shit of all time. The red line.
Collin Moshman has a little quickie action of his own. Collin discusses the Nash Equilibrium, including multi-way spots, MTT and sit-and-go formats, and small ball alternatives.
Going right to a forum post, and we're going to analyze it using Nash. And so here we have the OP, the Raisin Asian, and he's talking about a marginal spot in the bubble with 8-8. And in this hand, we have 150-300 blinds. It's the bubble, and the player whose villain is described as a lagro, I like that description, and he shoves. We have 8s in the small blind, and the question is, can we call? Now, traditionally, the Nash Equilibrium is mainly for reg versus reg heads-up situations, but we can use it.
On Friday, Folding Station is back for the 4th installment of Learning Curve. He talks about bet sizing, identifying leaks, and how to cash in on mistakes he commonly sees in today's PLO games.
I think it's somewhat likely he'll think I am now tilting towards him. It's also possible with players like this, he is playing 10 tables, as you've seen me just check. I might have said this in videos before about players like this. They might not be aware of you. They might not be as aware of you as you are aware of them. So don't think, oh my god, he thinks I'm spewing with a bad hand here. You know, he's playing 10 tables. He's trying to push everyone around. We can see by his name, he's planning on owning everyone. So he might not be as aware of me.
Matthew Janda starts off the weekend with a quickie. Matt discusses a couple of interesting rush hands that were posted in the CR forums by fellow members.
Semi-deep, so it's usually going to be a pretty difficult hand to play. So before I bet here, the first thing I want to ask myself is, do I think I can get 3 streets of value out of position? If I can't get 3 streets of value out of position on most turn and river cards, then betting becomes a lot less appealing. Because, for example, let's say you want to bet a hand like 10 jack on this flop or 10 queen on this flop. The problem is you'll bet the flop for value, but then on just about every turn card, you're going to be lost, and you're not going to know whether or not you should bet for value or if you should check. And then once you check, your opponent usually knows
Dan Ringer and Vernier are back for part 2 of their Instiation series. This week, it's all about HUDs. The boys discuss how to make early reads with HUD stats, how quickly HUD stats converge, and how they overlap.
On your heads-up display reflect the player's tendencies. And from my experience, in full ring, you need about 100 to 200 hands to get a general idea of somebody's VPIP and PFR, and kind of the upper end of that will give you a idea of what their 3-bet and steal frequencies are. Now, post-flop stats vary depending on the player's VPIP, which kind of makes sense. You know, if somebody plays very loosely pre-flop, then they're going to...
And finally, as always, it wouldn't be Sunday without Count to Zeros. Here's a clip from last week's episode.
And Alex was out in Vegas last week, so he's got some good stories. So why don't we just kick off with that? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your trip out there?
Yeah, so I went out Monday morning unexpectedly to sweat fellow CardRunners pro Chip Sahoya, who was going deep in the 10K stud 8 or better event. And, I got to Vegas just in time for the final table where he was chip leader. Great final table at David Benyon.
Well, that wraps it up for this week's previews. As always, be sure to visit CardRunners.com for complete videos. I'm Lee Prstula. Thanks for watching.